SharpStack, Matt Brown, and Steven Andress here with you. Leading into Thursday night football, our thoughts on all the other games on the slate as well. Some survivor nuggets here and there. And Steven, I'm not going to say it's a dud here on Thursday night. It's the NFL. Anything can happen, but we are sitting at 11 right now at Circa in favor of Buffalo. You can find as high as a 12.5 out there in the market if you really looked around for this one. So this is expected, at least in the market, to be all Buffalo.
Yeah, accidentally muted you there off the top, Matt. My mistake. Maybe it's appropriate. A muted response for this game compared to the first two TNF games we had coming into the year. You know, they can't all be bangers, right? Like you told me before the show. So we have to deal with what the market has in front of us here. This moved a 0.5 point with actually some Miami money coming in at Circa here, not only in Kentucky, but also in Las Vegas over the past hour. So I guess divisional dog getting a ton of points. But if you want to know where the market sentiment is with Miami right now after 2 weeks, this game was a lot lower than this coming into the season. This game was 8.5 on the preseason line. So no really big interest in Miami, I would guess, at this number, even though it's inflated from the preseason line. But I suppose 11.5 was a bit of the buy point for some people out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting handicap for me, and I'll just let everybody know off the top, I don't have a bet on the side in this one, and mainly because, Steven, it's week number 3, and I don't really know exactly how Buffalo is going to handle games like this. I mean, they obviously have Super Bowl aspirations. This is a game they should handle pretty easily at home. Miami has looked like one of the worst teams in the NFL through the first couple of weeks. It is a short week game as well. So does that mean take the foot off the gas at some point? Does that mean we see James Cook on the sideline and we get some of the other, one of the other backs back there? Does Josh Allen play the entire game, et cetera, et cetera? So for me, kind of a tough handicap for me in this one as we sit, again, 11, 11.5, 12, whatever it might be out there in the market in week 3 with a team on a short week with a team that, is looking to go all the way.
Yeah, certainly have some props that I do like for this one. We'll get to those in just a second by showing the market here for those props using SharpStack. And if you are new to that product, be sure to scan the QR code if you can. If not, just when you sign up, use the promo code TNF Live. You'll get a 7-day free trial and 25% off. You'll see in just a minute here. It's fantastic for not only comparing the market for spread, money line, and total, but for props as well. So Matt, to me, I mean, let's pull it up here for the total of this game. And is there a buy point for you on the over? Is there a buy point for you on the under as we get closer to kickoff here, if that number should show itself here? Because we're sitting at 49.5 up to 50.5, depending on where you look.
Yeah, so I played a little under 50.5, was really looking for a 51. If a 51 hits, I would probably pop it again, but played a little bit towards the under. Now, this is, Steven, me also trying to play a little bit of the narrative game here, which is, okay, really, really good team against a bad team at home, big spread. They control the game, and then in the second half, we don't take any unnecessary risks, and we just get out of this short week game all healthy and try to salt away the clock. And so that's basically where I go with this, where I think that this Buffalo team does do very well tonight, does handle Miami pretty easily, and we get to the fourth quarter, and we're just getting a whole bunch of groundwork, just gnawing up that clock and trying to get out of there without injuring anybody on a short week. And so I know there's a whole lot of factors that come into that handicap and how I got to that, but it's a high total as it is anyway. And I think that Buffalo is probably going to play this one a little bit closer to the vest. That's kind of how I read it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing has changed for me with my opinion on Miami from last week, despite it being a little bit more of a competitive game against a team that I still have bottom half of the league in the New England Patriots. You have a lot of offensive line injuries here for the Dolphins, 3 starters on IR on the offensive line. You have a disaster of a back end on defense that should lead this to, again, another potential pass funnel game. I think there's maybe some inverse correlation here just on how efficient the Buffalo offense is. I could see some receiver under receptions, but over yards because of just how bad the defense is for Miami. Same thing with Josh Allen, maybe just a low completion type game, but still, a 9-10 yards per attempt game, because this is a complete disaster for Miami in terms of a pass defense. You've seen what's happened to them over the past couple of weeks here, but I do agree with your look potentially here on the under. I was going to say 51 was my buy point as well. 50.5 was good enough for you. If it gets to 51, I'm in on that. That's kind of a key-ish number in totals, 27, 24 in a closer, more competitive game. But this, to me, a lot has to happen here to get to a total that high in a game that's not supposed to be competitive. And in fact, like I want to ask you, good trend or bad trend or dumb trend here? The Buffalo Bills have had a lot of blowout games since the start of last year. They're one of the best teams in the league. They're in this position a lot throughout the year. And the games have gone under 51 in 7 of the last 9 games that the Bills have won by double digits. So that, to me, kind of implies a little bit they put their foot on the gas more so than not when they get into these types of games, or they put their foot on the brake, I should say, in the second half more times than not when they get into this type of game state.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look last week and they win by 20 over the Jets, but it was still a 30-10 game, and so I could easily see something along in that narrative again, right? Where if it's 30-17, we're still under this number, Steven. Like 30-17 is a cover and is still under this number. So for me, it's only under, never over here for this. And should mention, if this means anything to you, if you are maybe a little bit higher on Miami than Steven and I are, no Ed Oliver, no Matt Milano tonight out there for the defense for Buffalo. So just, if you are of the mindset that maybe Miami isn't as bad as we think they are, then that should make you feel really good, because those are 2 of their better players on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, talking about inverse correlations that books will give you, exponentially higher odds for an inverse correlation. I could see a first half over, second half under here, or first half over, total game under here, like we've been talking about. And instead of a plus 250, 3-1 on that, I've seen some books where you're getting more than 4-1 on that situation. So it fits for me. I still think, with those defensive injuries, Miami might be able to move the ball a little bit. They moved the ball against a bad defense last week in New England. And I think you and I would agree that we certainly have some question marks still with this Bills defense, even though they looked better against the Jets last week.
No, absolutely. What are we looking at here from a prop standpoint? I actually think that this is more of a prop game than it is anything else, because you can tell a story with your props and how you want to go about playing it. I think you and I at least have a little bit of the same kind of thought here as to how this game state might be. So that leads me to a couple of different props that I threw in the account. First of which for me is Tua and over completions. Like I took over 23.5 completions for him to get him to 24. And Steven, it's pretty, it looks like they're all 20, basically 23.5 in the market out there right now. So I took the 23.5 on the over to get to 24. And here's why. If this game state goes the way that you and I think, then they're going to be passing all the time. What is Tua perfectly fine in doing? He will dump off over and over and over and over and over again. Like, he has no problem dumping it to Achane 4 times out of the backfield. He has no problem just throwing these little short 5 and 6 yard passes and stuff like that, even when they're trailing a ton. So this is a volume play for sure, but I think the volume is going to be enough and good enough for us there to get to the over. And as you kind of highlight, you're able to see that there are places that are better than others to bet this over. The juice has gotten out of control on the over.
Let me go back for you here.
Yeah, on the completions, but still, it's a deal. You can see, like, I mean, it's all the way up to 136 at FanDuel, so you can get 115 at MGM. One is the best number that's out there right now on the over on this. So another reason that SharpStack is just such an incredible tool. You can go in and you can make sure that you're getting the best number at the best juice, and so there we are right there on that one. So that's kind of the hey, this game could get out of hand. Miami has to just pass the ball left and right. That's at least part one of that. I'll let you get to some of your thoughts, and then I'll finish up with how I also think that this a Buffalo route could also play into the prop market.
Well, your angle gave me an idea as well, because we've seen Tua, when his first read isn't there, being very willing to dump it off to Achane for 6-7 receptions a game. So his receptions total here is only sitting at 5.5. I think that's a fair look here. I think we've seen an increase in his usage as the dump off guy now that they've traded Jonnu Smith from a year ago. And there is a correlation there for teams macro in the NFL with. If you're targeting the tight end a lot, usually means the running back's not getting as many targets and vice versa. So that's a decent look for me. The one I'm betting tonight is in the rushing yards market, and it's Josh Allen for a couple of reasons. Now, this is deflated already. It's kind of baked in the situation, but I still think we could get, barely any rushing yards for Josh Allen this week for a couple of reasons. So under 30.5 is a bet for me right now. That's available still at a couple of books at minus 115 juice. And the angle here is really twofold. Number one, Josh Allen has a broken nose. Obviously, he's still playing, but he's going to have a visor on. So at this type of game on a short week, how aggressive are they really going to be in using Josh Allen's legs when their franchise quarterback and the body that their Super Bowl hopes hinge on is out there with a broken nose? That's number one. Number two, Miami's a pass funnel defense already. We've already discussed how much of a disaster their back end is. So I think it leads to just a little bit more of a passing game and chunk pass plays as well. And in the last 3 games that Josh Allen has played against Miami, he's had a grand total of 2, 7, and 17 rushing yards. For whatever reason, when they play this team in the past couple of years, him rushing the ball hasn't been either required or part of the game plan. Even if you go back to the playoff game, which had a projected similar game state as this, that was the Miami playoff game where Tua didn't play. I think Skylar Thompson started that game. Josh Allen only had 20 yards rushing on the ground. It just wasn't needed. It wasn't required. So that's the main prop look for me in this game. I don't think they really need to use Josh Allen's legs too much tonight.
So the last one for me, and this one is a little bit more of a stretch, and so I'm okay if you just stop at the Tua completions and move on from there. But I also played some Ray Davis over on his rush yards. I have a hard time getting to, Steven, I have a hard time getting to that they are going to run James Cook out there in the fourth quarter of a game. They're winning at margin after they just gave him all that money. Like giving him unnecessary carries in a game in which is well at hand. Like, this is why you have a Ray Davis on your roster, right? He comes in, he just eats up the clock, he eats up whatever. I see that, on Ray Davis, you can get an over 23.5 right there at FanDuel. So you only got to get 24 yards. You can see it's a whole yard better than it is at the other books out there. And so, I like I said, I think you can, if you live in a Rivers market, yeah, I mean, there's 22.5, but for me, I'm playing the narrative that the Bills are going to win this game and win this game at margin. And with that, I don't, again, unnecessary carries, just like you're saying with your franchise quarterback. I mean, are you doing this with this guy that, held out and you just gave all this money and why? What are you giving him unnecessary carries in the fourth quarter for? So I think those carries go to Ray Davis. He got 9 carries last week as it was anyway. So, Steven, if we can get 9 or 10 carries here, we only have to average 2.5 yards a carry, which is nothing in the NFL in order to get the over here. So give me 10 carries to Ray Davis, and I feel really good we get there.
Man, you and I are in sync tonight, man. We're going deep on the Ray Davis. First of all, I love the angle because it's basically the same handicap I had week 1 with Will Shipley, and that cashed in the first quarter. So love that angle. I sprinkled Ray Davis as well with a little bit of a longer shot. I sprinkled, 10th of a unit on Ray Davis last touchdown, 22-1. And tonight there's still, a lot of those. If you're in a regulated market, there's a lot of touchdown promos, no sweat, bonus bet jackpot type stuff. I mean, I like Ray Davis as a lesser, not as popular pick at good odds as well at 22-1 for last touchdown. Just on all the angles we were basically talking about already, Matt.
Yeah, it is to me I think it is a very good I think it's a very good bet. I think it's a very good way to kind of handicap the game and tell the story, right? Where it's like, okay, if this team does what we think they're going to do, then that is probably going to lead to these players getting additional opportunity. I think Ray Davis is at the top of the list for guys to get additional opportunities there in that one. We'll of course keep you updated here as we get closer to kickoff, if this line moves, if anything gets going out there in the market. But again, we're sitting 11 there at Circa, 11.5 across the rest of the country, 50.5 your prevailing total out there right now in this one. All right, Steven, let's start rolling down the list here. Indianapolis and Tennessee. This is currently 4.5 out there in favor of the Colts on the road heading to Tennessee. 43.5 is our total. This Colts team through 2 weeks, small sample size, but looks good on offense. I'm just gonna be honest. It looks good. I think Steichen has figured out what to do with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is playing within himself in this offense right now currently, and I don't know, man. Like I put in a Colts division bet this past week as well. I think that there are enough holes in the Texans. I think there's enough holes in the Jags to where this Colts team is probably going to be there and compete for this division at the very end. All that said, it is on the road. I think Cam Ward has shown flashes to me. I think that he's probably going to get it by the end of the season. I don't know if it'll be this game or not. 4 is a little bit too much for me, so I ended up opting to take a pass. I did play a little bit of Tyler Warren over at 46.5 yards in the receiving market.
Yeah, I'm buying this Colts offense to the point where I bet their team total over 23.5 this week.
Yeah.
So I'm all in on this offense. I completely agree with you. I think they're very talented, and I think paired with Shane Steichen, Daniel Jones is fine against the majority of defenses in this league. So in terms of the spread, it was a stay away for me because like this is just, the classic early season darling surprise team just getting bought out the wazoo. I mean, this was under the key number 3 on the look ahead. It went to 3 at open, which I think is justified based on what we've seen. They haven't punted in 2 weeks, but when is the stopping point? It's got to be at some point, right? Unless Tennessee's already a dead team. We're already out to 4.5 now. So to me, that was a little pricey to be buying that high on Indianapolis. Also considering that their defense has been 31st in pressure rate over the past couple of weeks. They've been bottom half of the league in drop back defense if you strip out the turnovers. So I don't want to buy high on a road favorite in division with a questionable defense, but I still think the Colts are going to score points in this game. The Tennessee defense is bad. L'Jarius Sneed, the number 1 corner, back-to-back DMPs. When he wasn't on the field last year, this Titans defense gave up more than 7 yards per play. So I still think the Colts are going to move the ball this week too, man.
Yeah, you and me both. I think Warren, as long as we continue to get props under 50 yards until the books adjust, like Warren is the perfect target for Daniel Jones. He's just the absolute perfect target. He can throw to him underneath and then he goes and gets yak. Like it's like he does exactly what you need for Daniel Jones to have success. And I think that he's going to continue to just pepper him with targets in this offense. Atlanta on the road at Carolina. This is currently 5.5 in favor of the Falcons. 43.5 to 44 is our total out there in the market. Right off the bat, Steven, I'll let you know, I still have all 10 of my Circa Survivor entries. So I am probably going to play 4 of them on Atlanta this week. The other 6 we'll talk about a little bit later, but I'm probably going to play 4 on Atlanta. And there's a couple of different reasons for this. Carolina's defense is as bad right now as a defense maybe could possibly be. I mean, they are absolutely atrocious. And I think we saw signs of it, at least glimpses of it last week, that maybe Bryce Young isn't dead. Maybe this offense isn't complete trash. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just pick on them while they're still trying to figure everything out. And this defense is still as bad as it is. I don't know if Carolina is going to be the complete dumpster fire that they are currently in the middle of the season. And if you look out at Atlanta, I don't know when else you're going to feel super comfortable clicking on Atlanta. And like, so
there's a couple of spots, but your point's taken for sure, but mostly not.
Yeah. Here's the deal. you have to play 20 teams, right? And so like if you don't play Atlanta this week, you do run the risk, in my opinion, of not playing them at all. I mean, I understand they play New Orleans in week 18, but I mean, like that would mean you got to the end, right? I mean, like, so I don't think you can look out at week 18 and say, like, I'm going to save the Falcons for week 18. I don't think that that's like how we play this. And so if it's not this week, it might be never. Like I said, I think Carolina might figure some stuff out a little bit, and they don't play them again until week 11. So I'm going to play 4 of the entries on the Falcons this week.
Yeah, I'm also playing Falcons a decent amount, maybe up to half my entries across all the pools I'm in for Survivor. I want to talk about the spread here, though, as well. This is the other road divisional favorite that's just gotten a ton of steam. They were only 2.5 on the look ahead. It was 1.5 before the season started. It got all the way up to 6 before, I guess, in the words of Evan Silva, some spreadsheet socialists decided that number was too big and they took some Carolina at 6. But like, I don't think Bryce Young is a functional, viable starting quarterback in the NFL, especially with what's around him right now. He had 2 interior offensive linemen go on IR this week. If we look at his stats through 2 weeks and strip out the garbage time, because, that was a lot of nice little garbage time against Arizona last week. If we strip that out of 34 quarterbacks through the first 2 weeks, Bryce Young is dead last in EPA plus CPOE score. And his score for that metric is more than 2 times as bad as the worst quarterback in the past 4 years, being 2021 Zach Wilson. So far, every quarterback in the league has at least a 38% success rate, except for Cam Ward and Bryce Young. And Young's CPOE is -20. The next worst is -10.8. This is like a third string quarterback out there right now with the way he's playing. And we know Atlanta can get a good pass rush, it seems, to start the year against questionable offensive lines, which I think Carolina is. So my question to you is, yes, it's buying high on Atlanta, but is Carolina even a viable team at this point? You mentioned the defense. I'm mentioning the offense. What is this right now?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess it's kind of interesting because you and I both do still think that the guys at PFF are pretty sharp and pretty smart. And so Bryce Young is graded ahead of Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, Tua. The list goes on and on. So it's interesting to me.
Does that not scream garbage time, though?
And well, they're grading these guys on a play-to-play basis. This isn't like just taking like garbage time statistics. They're like are looking.
What, his receivers aren't helping him or something, or he's facing too much quick pressure? What? I mean, that's mind-boggling to me.
I don't think that. If we're being honest, I just don't think he has any talent around. I don't think he has enough talent around him. Like I just don't. I don't think that. And like Ted McMillan might grow into a wide receiver 1. It's just like there are very few rookies from day one that like step on the field and are wide receiver 1s, right? I mean, it just doesn't happen all that often. And so,
who cares if it's the chicken or the egg, right? It is what it is.
And so that's why I'm saying, like, I just think that's why I'm saying I want to pick on him now. Like, I don't know if Bryce Young is actual trash. And I'm wondering if the more Ted McMillan grows in this offense, the more once they get, what was it, Naylor, who was supposed to be the slot guy?
Jalen Coker,
who's supposed to be the slot guy for them. Like once he gets back, like all that, like I don't know if I want to pick on him or whatever. That said,
are you laying the 5.5?
That said, for this week, it's probably a contest play for me over at Circa, but it's probably not one that's going to be in my account. I'm going to have a lot riding on this game as it is anyway with the Survivor entries, and so I don't need any additional stress.
Fair enough. Yeah. The contest makes sense. I mean, how often are people run into the window in these contests to lay this many points with a road divisional favorite?
Yeah, they're not very often. Raiders on the road at the Commanders. This is currently 3.5 in favor of the Commanders across the board here in this one. 44 to 44.5 is our total here in this one. Las Vegas coming off one of the worst performances I ever had to sit through. By the way, I was at that game, Steven. And
I'm so sorry.
Dude, it was the worst football game I've ever sat through in my life. Like, not only was the play on the field horrible, but I had an obnoxious fan in front of me who had to get
Raider
up.
fan or Charger fan?
Oh no, Raider fan who had to get up after every single snap. He jumps out of his seat after every single snap. It didn't good, bad, otherwise it didn't matter. Whatever was going on, I couldn't see kind of how things were playing out. My cocktail that's in the little cup holder, it's just half of it's all over the place. Whatever, this guy, because he's jumping up and down in the seat. I'm just like, dude, not only is this a bad football game, but like you've just spilt like $11 worth of drink on the ground right there. But neither here nor there. That was an awful performance by Geno Smith. Like he was late on everything, overthrew some stuff, just didn't look like he was seeing the field really at all. And from a Washington standpoint, they might have a banged up quarterback. So, I mean, this is a very interesting handicap.
Yeah, I can't do anything with this game as we record here on Thursday night. There's just not enough information. Jaden Daniels isn't practicing until at the very least on Friday. On top of that, it's a brutal schedule spot for the Raiders, having played on Monday night, playing a team that played Thursday the week before. And this is what Drew Dinsick likes to call the Widowmaker spot on the schedule. So I think that's baked in already. But that schedule spot is probably what stops me or makes me hesitant to bet 5.5 on the Raiders if Daniels is declared in for this game. And then if it goes all the way down past the key number of 3, if Marcus Mariota starts, I don't really want to lay points with Marcus Mariota. So this is kind of just a stay away for me and observe the Raiders offense and see if Geno Smith can bounce back a little bit. Cause I agree. That was really bad last week.
Oh, it was absolutely horrific. That said, the other side of 3 is at least interesting because Washington hasn't shown me anything either, and so the other side of 3.
Are you concerned about the schedule spot? Like if Jaden Daniels starts and you're getting, 4.5, 5.5 in that dead zone, I think we both agree the Commanders are pretty much still overrated in the market. It's just the schedule spot that's stopping me with Vegas and the extreme rest disadvantage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it enough points? I don't know.
Is there any way in hell this gets to 6? Because if this gets to 6, then you have to play Vegas. You have to play the Raiders.
I agree. I would buy at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know with if he plays. I don't know with him being probably not 100% and taking away. I think here's the thing. I think if you want a 6, you better be watching the board like a hawk because I think they get gobbled up very quickly if it shows.
Green Bay on the road at Cleveland. This is 7.5 to 8. 41.5 is our total. Yes, America's teaser leg right here. This is going to be in everybody's teaser portfolio this week to take the Green Bay Packers down to a 1.5 to 2.5, whatever. Again, remember, we don't have to ask for the full 6 points anymore if you don't want to. They allow you to play these alt game parlays, so you can only ask for 5 and get it to 2.5, and you'll get a better price on it. It's in my portfolio. It is the most obvious spot ever for me here in this one. Though we did get news today that Tucker Kraft tweaked his knee at practice. Tucker Kraft leads this team in routes run and target share. So it's kind of an important deal. They said he got checked out. It's not that big of a deal, but I'll put it this way. If Tucker Kraft's going to be that important to this offense, Steven, you probably sit him if it's even somewhat like bothersome, right? Like you're not playing him in this game against Cleveland.
Cross conference game on the road doesn't factor into tiebreakers.
Right.
Already out Jaden Reed. So I understand why in terms of the spread, there's been interest in Cleveland for sure. The defense has been really good for back-to-back weeks. And I know they got blown out against the Ravens, but if you strip out garbage time, the Ravens were actually outside the top 20 in week 2 of all offenses in the league by EPA and success rate. So that's back-to-back weeks against Burrow and Lamar Jackson that the Cleveland defense was pretty good. It's just the offense hasn't been able to do anything. So, I'm going to pull up SharpStack one more time. Again, coupon code TNF Live for 7 free days and 25% off here. And I want to look at the passing yards here for Joe Flacco. Matt, isn't this one of your vintage spots where you can paint 2 stories where this goes under? Number 1, he's facing the best defense in the league, and maybe he doesn't even get to 228 for a whole game. And isn't there also the possibility that he gets benched at some point in this game, either because they're getting blown out or he's just playing awful? And why not throw one of your rookies in to see if he gets something? He already didn't finish the game last week.
Yeah, I think that they gave us kind of the window into maybe what their plan is going to be, which is, okay, put him out there until it's not a viable option anymore and then go to one of the rookies. And so I like that angle a pretty good bit further. It's a second week of Judkins being in that offense. So maybe they try to get him. Again, they gave him a fully guaranteed contract as well. So utilize him, try to get him some run and whatever. And then also, are you dropping back Joe Flacco a ton with Micah Parsons coming at you like left and right? Like, I mean, probably not, right? It's
right.
This is not the Cleveland offensive line of old. Like, this is not that offensive line where we used to talk about like, well, at least they've got an offensive line. That's not the case anymore there in Cleveland. I like that angle a pretty good bit on the under with Flacco. And like I said, this is everyone's teaser leg, and there's no way I could ever talk you off of it.
Yep. I played it too. It's in my account. Teaser leg. We'll tell you the other leg later in the show here.
Cincinnati on the road at Minnesota, battle of the backups. This is a flat 3 across the board. It is 2.5 at Circa, actually. Dill juice 2.5 at Circa, but 3 everywhere else out there. 42.5 is our total. We're going to be getting Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning. Steven, tell me why I don't take the full field goal with Cincinnati as they go into a dome in perfect playing conditions with a backup that has a ton of experience playing in this offense, where Wentz got picked up a few weeks ago for Minnesota. We don't even know if he can play anymore. Like, this dude might not have it anymore at all. Why would I not take the full field goal with Cincinnati?
You should. I mean, I bet Cincinnati at open the minute I heard. I actually, before I even knew Carson Wentz was playing, I bet Bengals plus 4.5. Mm-hmm. And then when Carson Wentz became the starter and we still were hanging out at 3.5, I'm like, I would still bet that.
Yeah.
I would still bet the 3. I'd bet anything plus money on Bengals money line in this game, to be honest with you. And I think we're going to keep moving closer to picking this one. I don't understand. Everything you said. Carson Wentz, the last time we saw him, was not a viable quarterback. He was all right. So I take Ben Baldwin's database of quarterbacks over the past 4 years and look at their EPA plus CPOE score. So I have some context over multiple years post-pandemic of what these quarterbacks have been and where they rank this year compared to historically over the past 4 years. Jake Browning, and it's minimum 200 plays. So 2023, Jake Browning was actually the top quadrant in CPOE plus EPA score, top 25% over the past 4 years. So I think he's actually a decent quarterback. Now, Carson Wentz, 2021 Wentz was quad 3, 2022 Carson Wentz was quad 4, and a worse score than Deshaun Watson had last year. He was 142nd out of 156 quarterbacks over the past 4 years. And to your point, he joined the team late. Combine that with all the injuries that the Vikings have coming into this game, potentially offensive line still, a lot of guys banged up on defense. I don't know why this would ever be 3. It's baffling to me.
Okay. I mean, this looked like, I mean, to me, one of the most obvious plays on the board, right?
I mean, you want to give Minnesota some home field. They have a really good home field. Like, I can see giving you 2 points for home field there, but I mean, I don't get it, Matt. I really don't.
Yeah, it is. Again, Carson Wentz might be terrible for all we know. I mean, like he literally might be completely washed.
He's not good.
Yeah, and at least Browning has a ton of experience playing in this offense. I mean, he definitely knows it very well. One of the 2 kind of games of the week right here, we have the Rams and the Eagles. This is currently 3.5 in favor of the Eagles at home. 44.5 is our total. Anybody that has watched any programming that I have done knows I'm in love with both of these teams. This is going to rip my heart away to watch this thing happen, watch these 2 teams play each other. But Steven, I guess if I had to play this one, full disclosure, nothing in the account, I would take the 3.5 with the Rams. I would hate it. I'd probably plug my nose and do it. But, Matthew Stafford early on in this season has looked like Matthew Stafford of old. I know we were worried about that back injury and worried about what he was going to look like because of all of that. And I think it was justified to be worried about what he was going to look like, but he's looked great the first couple of weeks. And so I can only go by what I've seen on the field. Seems to have a pretty good chemistry with Devonta Adams already. Obviously, we knew what he had going on with Puka Nacua. Rams have looked like the better offense so far.
Oh, I don't think there's any question they've looked like the better offense. Now, we have to consider that they played Tennessee last week, but they also played Houston in week 1, only had 14 points in that game. But to me, the bigger story is the Eagles offense and what it's looked like through 2 weeks. This does not look like a great offense with the new offensive coordinator. It looks like the situation we had a couple of years ago when they lost Shane Steichen and went through just a very underwhelming season of offense with Jalen Hurts. Right now, he's bottom 3 in ADOT, right there with Bo Nix and Aaron Rodgers. The pass protection grades for the offensive line has actually slipped to around the borderline top 10 when we've been used to this offensive line being top 3 over the past couple of years. Maybe it's Landon Dickerson playing hurt. I'm not sure. But then the defense as well has given up, average to above average yards per play when we expected this defense to be elite coming into the year. 5.5 yards per play allowed against Dallas, 5.2 against Kansas City. Philly is near the bottom of the league in net yards per play. The Rams are top 5 in net yards per play. So I have to wonder if we need to come off our priors a little bit with the Eagles. I rank the teams 1 to 32 every week for that week and that week only. And the Eagles are no longer number 1 for me. They're no longer number 3 for me ahead of the Bills and the Ravens. I have them behind Green Bay and I have them right next to the Rams. So if I'm getting 3.5, I'm going to take that with LA.
Yeah. One thing I think that's like under the radar here with the Philly offense and we'll have to kind of see, like Dallas Goedert like weirdly matters for this offense. And he kind of is that little like glue guy, and he gets hurt in week 1, doesn't play in week 2. It's a bigger deal than people are making it. Like no one's even talking about Dallas Goedert not being out there, but he's been like Jalen Hurts kind of little security blanket for the last couple of years. And I think that matters more than people are given credit for. I like the under in this one as well, because either one of these teams is A-okay sitting on leads and just absolutely melting clock. And there was a 45.5 that was available earlier in the week that I threw in the account. I think 44.5 is still completely fine to play while we're above that 44 number. I've seen enough Philadelphia leads and enough Rams leads to know how these coaches want to play them. And that is, they really do take their foot off the gas. There's very little aggression once these teams get up in games. And so no matter which team is ahead in this one, Steven, I kind of like the under here in this.
Yeah, a lot of people I respect are right there with you this week. I just opted. I got a good number on the spread, so I'm in on that. But if I was coming in right now, that's probably my favorite look, even more so than Rams plus 3.5. So I agree with you.
Just joining us, just a reminder, Steven's there at the Circa Sportsbook in Kentucky. If you are within driving distance, you should definitely make the trip. It is completely worth it. Look at him strap on the Circa Sports hat right there. Oh, what a guy. But it's an amazing new book. So be sure to make that trip for a Thursday night game, for a Monday night game, for an NFL Sunday, whatever it might be. We're still sitting 11 there at Circa. 50.5 is our total. There are 11.5s out there, but 50.5 the prevailing total here in Thursday night football as we get ready for
hey Matt, real quick before we move on, we got a couple of viewer comments I just wanted to share here with some questions coming into this game. One is a fantasy question for Ricky Pearsall or Keon Coleman this week. To me, it's Ricky Pearsall just based on volume. I don't know. I mean, we're looking at Keon Coleman being lined at over under 3.5 receptions for this game, so I like Ricky Pearsall. And then another one here. Full PPR, Coleman tonight or Wandale on Sunday for the Giants against the Chiefs. That's probably Coleman for me, just based on some potential high efficiency for the Bills. I know the full PPR with Wandale, but that Chiefs defense is really good.
Yeah, I think the only problem that really comes into play for me with Coleman tonight is, again, we're talking like an 11.5 point spread, right? And so what is the volume going to look like in the second half if this game goes like it's supposed to, right? And it's the NFL, and the game could not go like it's supposed to. The game could be wonky. But if this game goes like it's supposed to, what is going to be the volume in the second half for Keon Coleman? That's the only thing that is like stuck with me in the back of my head, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a total efficiency versus volume argument, and it's a tough one for sure.
Yeah. Pittsburgh on the road at New England. This is 1.5 in favor of the Steelers. on the road against New England. 44.5 is our total. Steven, I will just pose to you this question. This is a 1.5. We were talking about teaser legs and dance partners and things like that. Does New England fit the bill for you this week? Is this Pittsburgh offense capable of winning at margin?
New England maybe fits as a teaser leg. As we record here on Thursday night, we have a lot of injury situations on both teams up in the air. We have a lot of guys on Pittsburgh who may or may not play on their defense. We have Morgan Moses on the offensive line for New England, and their number one corner, Christian Gonzalez, still questionable. So I need clarity on that. Right now, it looks like the Steelers guys are trending down, and then Christian Gonzalez is trending up for New England. So it looks like the injury report, at least right now, is going to go the Patriots' way. So at that point, yes, I would tease New England, but I don't know that yet. And the tricky part is if we get confirmation of that on Friday, this is not going to stay at 1.5. This is going to move towards New England, in my opinion. And then you're probably out of that teaser range. At that point, I would probably just take New England money line at plus money because I think they have the better quarterback in this game. And I think we have to ask ourselves questions about the Pittsburgh defense at this point.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh defense has been really, really bad. And so because of that, I mean, we're talking a team 27th in EPA per play allowed through the first couple of weeks of the season. And frankly, Steven, they might be worse than that. I mean, like, remember, one of those games was against the Jets. And like, I don't think we're ever going to like be talking about the Jets as an elite offense or anything like that. And so they might not even be that good. So I think there's real questions around this Steelers team. I have not thrown the teaser leg in on New England quite yet. I'm kind of like you. I think I might just pick them to win outright and just move on and hold serve here at home against a team that I think has a ton of question marks around them. The Jets on the road at the Bucks. This is 6.5, 7 in favor of Tampa Bay at home. 43.5 all the way to 44.5 out there in the market is our total. I mean, this is still sitting at a touchdown, Steven, and Tampa Bay is going to be down 3 starting offensive linemen. No Chris Godwin. Their Emeka Egbuka was listed on the injury report the last couple of days, though it looks like he's going to play. Like, I don't like the Jets, and I understand the Jets are going to be rolling out Tyrod Taylor, but a full touchdown? I'm getting a full 7 points? Like, I think that's too much to turn down. I do. And I don't like the Jets at all. And I understand it's Tyrod, but boy, this is not a cluster injury. This is 60% of your offensive line is gone. I mean,
Matt, it might be 80% if Wirfs doesn't play. Wirfs has only been limited back-to-back days. He was also limited back-to-back days last week before a DMP on Friday or the last day of practice of the week. So if he doesn't play, they're down 80% of their offensive line, man. So I'm right there with you. I think this is a horrible spot for Tampa Bay with the cluster injuries up front. I think Baker is banged up a little bit. If you watch the end of that Texans game, he's at full participant, but he's on the injury report with that foot/toe. You talked about Egbuka. We're not sure about Godwin. The defense lost Kancey, who I don't think is a huge difference maker, but it hurts your depth on the defensive line. And you have a short rest disadvantage for the Bucs in this one as well. And this is narrative right now, Matt, but I wonder your opinion on this. Just playing a defense as physical as the Texans and what that does to you the week after if you've fully recovered from that. There's been a similar narrative with playing the Lions in recent years and teams not bringing anywhere near their A game the week after they played the Lions. But if you watch that game against the Texans defense, man, they were getting hit hard over and over again. So, yeah, I think this is just a brutal spot. And I know it's Tyrod Taylor, but a full 7, I bet it.
I did too. I hated it. It was gross. It felt gross, but sometimes you just have to like go with what you know. And offensive lines, once you start messing with them that much, it's
and the Bucs are extremely lucky to be 2-0.
Yeah.
Let's be fair about that. Like, I love this team's upside once fully healthy, but right now they could easily be 0-2.
Yeah. Houston on the road at Jacksonville. This is a 1.5 in favor of Jacksonville at home. 44 to 44.5 is our total here in this one. This Texas team has looked brutal. Just cannot get anything going on the offensive side of the ball at all. And not much better on the Jacksonville side either, Steven. Like, this is one of those games, I think, for me, put it on a rocket, fire it into the sun. I mean, if Houston somehow figured it out this week and won by a touchdown, it wouldn't surprise me. And then if Houston's offensive line continues to be like they are and Jacksonville is able to sack Stroud 4 times and put pressure on him at 40% of it, 45% of his dropbacks, 50% of his dropbacks, then Jacksonville can win by a touchdown. And like when both outcomes seem so likely to me, that's probably just a pass.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's been debate about who should be favored in this game this week, but either way, I don't think you're getting any really valuable numbers. You're still going to be a couple points either way. To me, it's the under. I bet under 44.5. And the biggest reason is because the offensive line for Houston has been a disaster. They look very much one of the worst offensive lines that we thought coming into the year. So much so that CJ Stroud is 28th in EPA plus CPOE through the first 2 weeks. I think that's more the offensive line's fault than him, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's the chicken or the egg. And Trevor Lawrence, 22nd in that metric, despite facing Carolina and Cincinnati's defenses. Like, I expected a lot more from Trevor Lawrence. We talked about it last week. Was not impressed again. He lost to Jake Browning when they had a lead in the fourth quarter. So to me, this is a lot of questions with the offenses and over a key number at 44.5.
And honestly, like, I mean, I know there's been some people asking some fantasy questions on here. I think we're almost to panic mode for like skill position players on both of these teams. Like, I mean, I think we're getting close to Nico Collins is not going to be able to live up to his draft position because of that offensive line and Stroud not having any time to do anything. And then Trevor Lawrence is being so incredibly inefficient. And then there's also other mouths to feed in all of that there. Like, I don't know if Brian Thomas leads, I don't know. It's not quite to panic mode yet, but I think we're approaching it pretty quickly.
I agree. Well said.
Broncos on the road at the Chargers. This is 2.5 to 3 in favor of the Chargers. 45.5 to 46 is our total here in this one. No quarterback has graded out worse the first 2 weeks over at Pro Football Focus than Bo Nix. He looked all right at the beginning of week 2, but then it really regressed after that. Like, efficiency went down and just started making some really bad plays. Now, that being said, the Chargers didn't do much to instill a ton of confidence in you this past week against the Raiders either. There were a couple of splash plays, but outside of that, no run game to speak of whatsoever. Questionable play call, questionable calls, questionable decision-making by Harbaugh. He goes for it on 4th down from the 20, but then gets to the 1 and doesn't go for 4th down and then kicks a field goal. Like, what did you go for it from the 20 then if you're not going to go for it from the 1? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But, I think this is about fair. It's about right, but I don't know. I don't love a side or anything here in this one.
I can see why the spreadsheet crew would want to take Denver at the full 3 if it ever got there. I can see why people want the Chargers minus 2.5. I sided with the Chargers minus 2.5 here. Yeah. I used kind of a preseason anchor of Chargers minus 1.5 in this game, and then asked myself, what have I seen so far? I see what PFF sees with Bo Nix. I've been very disappointed with his play. This is why you need to look under the hood at advanced metrics in the NFL, because if you just look at surface level and see Bo Nix has completed 70% of his passes, you'd be like, oh, he's been pretty good. No, he's done that with the lowest ADOT in the NFL, even lower than Aaron Rodgers, whose arm is falling off.
He is tied with Baker Mayfield for turnover-worthy plays so far through 2 weeks as well. So he's putting the ball in danger. There's it hasn't been pretty so far with Bo Nix.
And now the defense might be leaking oil as well. Patrick Surtain tried to play hurt last week. It did not go well. In fact, they were targeting him at a high rate because they knew he was compromised and they were completing a lot of passes. So the entire handicap of this Denver team for me, betting over the win total coming into the season, was that maybe we get a bump in year 2 from Bo Nix and this defense sustains its elite level, both of which I have big question marks coming into this game. And combine that with a complete shift in this Chargers offense in terms of passing rate over expected, at least through 2 weeks. This is a more aggressive team, more willing to put the ball in the hands of Justin Herbert, which means you're decreasing your variance week to week in your offensive production and the outcome of these games. All those things added up to me betting under the key number here and taking Chargers -2.5.
Yeah, no, I can get there with that. I think it would be Chargers or pass for me for sure. I think the thing that does scare me though, you talk about that pass rate over expected. I don't know if they have a choice. Like the run game has been atrocious. Like they have tried. I mean, so much so that like Amari and Hampton was losing carries to Najee Harris like against the Raiders because Amari and Hampton couldn't figure out what was going on out there on the field and stuff. And so I don't know if you can just get by week to week basis, just being one dimensional. I guess we shall see this week against Denver. New Orleans Saints on the road at the Seattle Seahawks. Here's your other teaser leg of the week. Hey, America, everyone's going to be on this puppy. Take that 7.5 down against New Orleans. 41.5 is our total here in this one. This is going to be my other 6 entries in Circa Survivor this week. I will play the Seahawks with 6. I will play the Falcons with 4, and we will move on from there. I think Spencer Rattler has been a little bit better than maybe we thought, Steven. Like he hasn't been a complete dumpster fire, but it's just the team is just so devoid of talent. They just don't have any talent on basically either side of the ball. And so it's not going to equal very many wins for sure for them. And now here they go on the road out to Seattle, all of that stuff. It just, everything comes up Seattle. Sam Darnold's actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's looked better than I thought he would look through 2 weeks. He's had a couple of picks, but, better than I thought he would look. Maybe my bar was really low, I guess, coming into the year. But teaser leg for me, for sure. I'm right there with you, pairing it with the Packers. The only question I have in terms of side or total, should this Seattle defense that is number 1 in pressure rate through 2 weeks, despite being bottom 3 in blitz rate, and Spencer Rattler on the other side, and a Seattle offense that wants to be very run heavy, should this total start with a 4? Shouldn't this be under a 41.5 bet or under 41? That's the only, I haven't bet it, but that's the question I'm asking going into the weekend, Matt.
Yeah, I think the other question here for me is the Saints have been really bad in pass defense. They just don't have anybody that can cover. And I think Jackson Smith and Jigba has just really proven that he can be a true number 1 in this league. And you can get 80 plus receiving yards at plus money in this one. Like, for a guy that, I mean,
that's the only guy he's throwing to.
Yeah. I mean, so it just seems mispriced to me. And so I really like JSN, like all his overs this week. I think that this might be the last week that we see numbers like anywhere near this. I think he actually is a true elite receiver. I mean, you and I used to talk, you and I have done a ton of draft content together and all of that. I mean, we know the stories. The guys on the team said he was the best receiver that was on the team and all the different stuff like that. And I think it's really starting to show here for him now that doesn't have to deal with DK Metcalf being in that offense. And Sam Darnold, like I said, Sam Darnold's the number 3 rated passer through 2 weeks, according to Pro Football Focus. I mean, like, again, it's small sample size, but that's still pretty good. I mean, it's better than being last. He's 3rd overall. So I like JSN props this week all over the place against the Saints team.
Last question on this game.
Yeah.
Where do you have Seattle in the league right now? Roughly. Average, below average, slightly above average?
Like slightly above average.
I have them slightly below average. But when you're playing the bottom 2 team, it may not matter.
Yeah. I have them. And this is like the slam dunk survivor play of the week as well.
Yeah, the only question is game theory and ownership, right? Like, I think this might be like 40% in Circa. So that's where I'm at. But I agree, there's no future value with the Seahawks.
That's the deal. So I think this is something that, I know you and I have had disagreements in the past when it comes to Survivor and the different strategies and whatnot. But what I will say is you can't always avoid the number 1 like pick every week. And the other thing is when you do have a team that you're never going to click again, like, it is this week, or you have to understand you're just trashing Seattle. Like, you're not like, it's going to be one of your teams that you don't use all season. So you either make the click this week because a home game against the worst against the bottom rated team in basically everyone's power ratings. It's between them and Carolina. I mean, whatever. It's like this, it's either click this week or you have to understand that you have now lost a team. You cannot use Seattle anymore moving forward.
You see, everybody, Matt has got deep pockets over there with his 10 entries. All right. I'm a purist. I have one entry, and that is my entry of record. So I have to have conviction on who I play every week, while my man over there is getting to play both sides of it. So you have no excuse if I outlast you this year, buddy.
Dallas and Chicago. This is, so to start out, Chicago favored. It's now Dallas favored. It's a point. Moving through zero doesn't mean anything. 50.5 is our total. I mean, Steven, this would be like an obvious over if I had any conviction that Chicago could put any points on the board. Like, I mean, Dallas's defense is so bad, but the offense is good. They're probably going to do their part, but I don't know if Chicago can do anything. Caleb Williams has not looked like he has progressed, which I thought under Ben Johnson, and that offensive line and all the weapons and all the everything. I thought.
I got told by Bears Mafia on Twitter this week that the film looked good week 2 for Caleb Williams. So okay. I don't really buy it, but Bears Mafia thinks that he looked good week 2.
We'll see. I don't know if you have anything on this one. I mean, like I said, I felt like I should be punching an over, but I just don't know if Chicago does their part here in this.
I bet Dallas in this. I got a better number than this, but we're still basically around a pick 'em for 2 reasons. Number one, Chicago's defense is now missing their most important player at 2 levels, at linebacker and at cornerback. And I like what I've seen from this Dallas offense through 2 weeks for sure. And I don't think that this is a step up in class from the defense they faced last week. I mean, maybe slightly, but this is still a bad defense as currently constructed, in my opinion, for the Bears. On the other side, I think it's a huge quarterback mismatch. I think Dak is far, far better than Caleb Williams. And we still have plenty of questions about Caleb Williams here. If you filter out the garbage time, he's been below average through 2 weeks. The script has looked good at the start of games, but after that, after we get off the script, he's had a hard time executing. So I have to buy into what I've seen with Dallas here, even if we don't get the A++ offensive effort that we've seen in the first 2 weeks.
With how bad Dallas's defense is and how good they have looked on script, maybe the bet is like Chicago to score points on their first drive or something like that. Maybe you put that in because, like, again, Dallas's defense has been horrible. It's like, so once they get off script, Caleb looks terrible, but like once they have looked good to start both games. And so I don't know, maybe that's a bet I'll make. Maybe I'll be putting in like a Bears to score points on their first drive or something like that.
Which revenge spot is more powerful, Eberflus against his old team or his old players against Eberflus?
Oh God.
They both stink.
They both stink. I know. Cardinals on the road at the 49ers. This is 2.5 in favor of San Francisco at home. 45.5 to 46.5 is our total here, Steven. This is probably a Mac Jones game, though they are not ruling out Brock Purdy playing for San Francisco in this one. I know there's been some love out there for some people saying, okay, you play the Cardinals in a teaser. I'm not in love with that. The Cardinals have done what I've needed them to do through 2 weeks, and now I don't have to care about the Cardinals ever again. Like, they got me through Survivor like the first 2 weeks, and so now I don't have to worry about this team anymore for the rest of the year. I mean, a completely banged up San Francisco team. I don't know, man. What you're the San Francisco guy.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I prefer a less than 100% Brock Purdy or 100% Mac Jones. Like, that's how much trust I have in Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where I stand there. I don't think there's a big difference in the point value, no matter who the quarterback is. I'll just say this. The number's gone. I bet Niners at plus money at the start of the week. I didn't know Brock Purdy was maybe playing in this one. As it stands right now, if this ever got to 3, I'd probably have to try and like middle this at a full 3 with Arizona, because I think a lot of people are frustrated that they got backdoor covered last week. And I think if you strip out garbage time, Arizona's actually been about a top 10 team so far this year. There's garbage time in week 1 for them as well. So I think there's a lot of talent on Arizona. I like them coming into the season. Niners are still pretty banged up. I'm not sure this should be a full 3, even if Purdy is playing. That would be a buy point for me on the Cardinals.
I actually think if Purdy plays, it would make me want to play the Cardinals more, actually, because
I would agree at this point.
like a compromised Purdy, and like, listen, again, this is a take that everyone hates from me. Purdy has been average. Like, I mean, that's just all there is to it. Like, Purdy has been average. And so there was a stat that came out over the last 16 games. Like, Purdy is Tua, Tua is Purdy. Like, I mean, like, they are the exact same player. Like, they've thrown Tua has 2 more touchdown passes. They both have 14 interceptions over the last 16 games. They have the exact same power passer rating, et cetera. So it's like, except Tua gets all this hate and everyone, like, for whatever reason, loves Purdy. It's like, no, Purdy is Tua. Tua is Purdy. They are the exact same player. So, and a compromise, if we were going into a game that was a compromised Tua, we would be like, oh yeah, let's bet the hell out of, let's pound the other side. It's like, okay, well, it's it would be a compromised Purdy. Like, why is that any better? I actually think Mac Jones scares me more than Purdy does right now. And so, yeah, if Purdy goes, and this will move in favor of the Niners if Purdy goes, because like the perception is that that's a good thing. I will happily take the 3 points with Arizona. Happily.
Yeah, I'm just double checking what this was coming into the year. It was Niners -3.5 with fully healthy all sides. So, and the Niners are not fully healthy even if Purdy plays, and Purdy's not going to be 100%, I would think.
All right, let's get to Sunday Night Football. It is the Chiefs on the road at the Giants. This is 6 in favor of the Chiefs. 44.5 to 45 is our total. There is 145.5 out there in the market if you're looking to play the under. Yes, it is your 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs heading up to take on the newly resurrected Russ Wilson. He's cooking again, throwing for 450 yards, just hucking up dimes down the field, landing them right in the bucket to Malik Neighbors to almost crush everybody's souls last week. They had Dallas and Survivor and all of that. In all seriousness, though, Steven, there are some real holes for Kansas City. And this is some of the stuff I talked about heading into the season that people didn't want to listen to me about, which is this offensive line is middling at best, and it might be bottom half of the league. And Travis Kelce is old. And what happened? He like banged an interception right off his hands. It cost him the game. Like there's no playmakers until we'll see if Xavier Worthy can go. And we know Rashee Rice isn't going to be back out there for another few weeks. So as currently constructed, I am not running to the window to take the Chiefs here on the road at the Giants, and I have no love for the Giants at all.
I also have no love using the Chiefs in Survivor. I've heard some people saying that because the Chiefs will be low owned. I'm not using the Chiefs in Survivor until Worthy and Rashee Rice are back. It's just there's zero reason to do that. You can find another spot down the road. As far as Xavier Worthy, whether he's going to come back or not, he was back-to-back limited participant Wednesday and Thursday, so we'll see. Their rookie, Jalen Royals, who a lot of draftniks thought was kind of a carbon copy prospect-wise to Rashee Rice. He's a full participant on Thursday, so he might come back and play, but he's still, day 2, day 3 rookie here. So he's not a first-round pick by any stretch. So I have zero interest at this point until Rashee Rice comes back of laying a lot of points with the Kansas City Chiefs just based on how they play football right now. It is high variance week to week. Even though they had a great record last year, it was still high variance week to week last year where the coin just wound up Mahomes more often than
no run game at all. Like Pacheco
Zero.
has been so inefficient. Like, I mean, he looks washed. Like, I mean, like he looks terrible.
I want to see Eli Mitchell run the ball from Niners days of old. I actually think he's got some juice. So I would love to see that. But yeah, I'm not laying points with the Chiefs. And listen, the Giants are a bad football team, so I'm good just watching this game.
Yeah, it'll be on. It'll be fun. Maybe there's something in game that pops up that we can get involved in. Monday night is Detroit on the road at Baltimore. This is 4.5 to 5.5 out there in the market in favor of the Ravens. This is a 52.5 to 53 total out there in the market. It is your highest total of the week. Makes perfect sense. Detroit looked more like Detroit last week. That offense was popping left and right. Dan Campbell flipping that middle finger over there across the sideline to Ben Johnson, going for it on 4th down, up 3 touchdowns and all the stuff like that. It was something else. And then, of course, Baltimore, after playing with their food a little bit in the first half, decides in the second half to go ahead and beat the hell out of the Browns there in that one. Steven, though, we are sitting at 4.5 for Baltimore at home here over Detroit.
Detroit got bet when it was at 6. I understand that. It seemed like a big number. We're in the dead zone now. If this gets to 4, I'm going to bet the Ravens.
Okay.
The Ravens are a wagon. This offense, they did not look good against the Browns, but the Browns are a good defense. I think there's a matchup in particular here that really favors the Ravens, and it's because the Lions are losing bodies on the defensive line. So first of all, let's start with the injury report for this week. Marcus Davenport, back-to-back DNP. Usually means you're not going to play in the game. But they also had previous defensive line injuries from training camp in the preseason. A defensive tackle, Aleem McNeil, has a knee. He's going to miss the first couple months of the season. A defensive end, Levi Onwuzurike, ACL. That he was their best interior defensive lineman in generating pressures and their best run stuffer as well. Go to the next level. Linebacker Jack Campbell did not practice on Thursday. Safety Kirby Joseph is limited with a knee injury. I think the Ravens are going to be able to run it straight down their throat and get chunk plays. I think they're going to have a really hard time stopping the Ravens rush game here.
All right. I can hear that. I mean, so the other kind of problem here is again, small sample size, only through 2 weeks, but even with getting Hutchinson back, the Lions haven't gotten very much pressure on the quarterback. And so that is something I need to monitor here a little bit more. 25th currently in pressure rate against the quarterback, and they are 31st in pass rush win rate through the first 2 weeks of the season. So again, Lamar's a underrated pocket passer. Like, Lamar throws well out of the pocket, and like, he gets clean pockets and stuff. Like, he will be able to pick this team apart. So I have no interest in taking the points here with the Lions, but I think they can go out and prove a lot of people wrong here in this one, that the coordinators didn't matter as much as we think, and they still have all those core pieces, and they're going to be able to go out and be competitive this year, even against the best of the best teams. So we'll see how they get after it. Ravens haven't got much pressure on the quarterback either. So Jared Goff, as we know, much better whenever he's throwing from a clean pocket. So I understand why the total's where it's at, Steven, because I think there's a path to success for both of these teams.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I also think that if you like the Ravens any given week, find your buy point before the weekend, because it's been back-to-back weeks where there's been big money coming in on the Ravens, even as a big favorite last week. So this is a team that I think just has an enormous ceiling any given week with the continuity that they brought in this year on offense.
Guys, we are counting down here, moments away from kickoff for Miami and Buffalo, and we're down to one of the national books out there, Steven, is at 10.5. Dolphins getting some love over at ESPN bet. So down to 10.5 over there on that one. We're still sticking at 50.5 from a total perspective, though, in this one. Guys, like we said, I have a nibble on the under at 50.5. It does not look like we're going to get the 51. So a little nibble on the 50.5 on the under. I like some Ray Davis over rushing, and I also like some Tua over on his completions, and that's going to be my portfolio for this one. Steven, what you got in the account?
Yeah, I also mentioned that there's some disagreement between the books, because I look over my shoulder here at Circa Sportsbook Kentucky, and we're actually at Bills minus 11.5 here. So we're between 10.5 and 11.5 here, depending on where you shop. So, hey, there's some disagreement. As far as what I'm betting here, maybe a live under if we get some early. We didn't get to the 51 that I was looking for, but if we get some early points in this game and this over under gets inflated live, that's a spot where I want to come in on the angle we talked about of maybe the Bills throwing on the brakes in the second half. And Josh Allen under rushing yards in this game, under 30.5. And a sprinkle on Ray Davis last touchdown in this one with a lot of the promos that are out there. I think 22-1 is the price on Ray Davis for last touchdown. That's where I'm at. But I think that live under might be the best look here if the script goes like we think in the first half and we get a lot of early points.
Look at that. We're moving lines out here, Steven. We just go to 50 at Circa. So the half of the 50.5 is gone. We go to 50 at Circa. We're moving lines, guys. Appreciate you guys listening to loving the under to angle that we've got here on this one. Guys, again, if you have not tried out SharpStack, TNF Live for the 7-day free trial and 25% off. Go in. It's an awesome tool. Trust me, I use it. Steven uses it. Everybody out there should actually be using it. Again, it's only going to get better too. I mean, this is like the first year of this. It is only going to get better. They're going to go in and this thing's going to be an absolute behemoth before it is all said and done. So, Steven, good luck on all the bets this week, my friend. And, whatever you decide in Survivor, I hope it works out for you, unless it's benefits me that it doesn't work out for you, and then whatever.
I'm all Falcons. I'm all Falcons, but go Saints, buddy.
All right, I love it. All right, guys, appreciate you guys tuning in. Good luck on all your bets.